So what if I told you that juries are unpredictable? That what seems like an open and shut personal injury case isn't that, in the eyes of the jury at least. Let's just imagine you're in a car accident, you've been rear-ended, you suffered some spinal injuries, in a lot of pain. Go get medical treatment, chiropractic treatment, physical therapy, whatever you need to get better. And you suffer over a period of months, maybe even years. It really depends. And even perhaps have a fractured vertebrae that you have to get treated for. Well, this is exactly what happened in a recent case out of Cuyahoga County. We have Jawari as the plaintiff versus Underwood, the person that rear-ended Jawari, and it appears that the case, the insurance company at least, didn't offer enough before trial to settle the case, so it went to a jury trial. And it was quite clear there was evidence that Jawari suffered some back injuries. There was evidence presented that she even had a fractured vertebrae up in the cervical area, which is the neck. Presented this to the jury, presented expert testimony to the jury. Well, the jury, you would expect, would award damages for medical expenses and pain and suffering. Well, unfortunately, you're wrong by assuming that. The jury only awarded the plaintiff damages for medical expense, no pain and suffering. And that just sort of shows you juries are unpredictable. What you think is open and shut isn't exactly the case. You never know what a jury's going to do. It really depends on the jury and the makeup of the jury. Fortunately for Jawari, there is an appellate process when someone is not happy with a judgment from a trial court, and Jawari appealed to the 8th District Court of Appeals and argued that the evidence just clearly showed that she had suffered pain and suffering and that these damages should have been awarded. And the argument was that the jury verdict of no pain and suffering was against the manifest weight of the evidence, that it was clear and obvious that she had suffered pain and suffering. And fortunately for her, the Court of Appeals agreed and sent the case back to the trial court to have a second trial on one issue, and that is the pain and suffering that Jawari experienced as a result of this car accident. This may not always be the case when you take it up to appeal. The law in Ohio is that pain and suffering damages aren't required when a jury awards medical expense, which is usually the case when there's a real minor injury, de minimis as the legal term used for that. But when a jury awards medical expense and no pain and suffering, and it's just clearly obvious that the injured person experienced pain and suffering, like Jawari, from a possibly fractured vertebrae, then it warrants the case getting sent back to the trial court to address that issue of pain and suffering. And just sort of a side note, which was interesting from this case, is what's called the eggshell plaintiff rule. And simply put, that is a legal theory that a defendant really takes a plaintiff as they are in their condition. If the plaintiff has a pre-existing condition and is in a car accident and the defendant caused it, and that accident aggravated the pre-existing injury, well, the defendant's going to be liable for damages for exacerbating that pre-existing injury. So that's just sort of a brief overview of the eggshell plaintiff, and it was sort of another thing addressed in this case. But the big thing is, that really struck me from the case is just it demonstrates the unpredictability of juries. You never know what a jury is going to do when you go to trial. Of course, sometimes you really have no choice but to go to trial. If an insurance company is just going to offer an inadequate amount to settle the case, you're going to have to go to trial. That's what the civil legal system's here for. You want your full damages. That's what trial's for. Sometimes it doesn't go your way, and again, sometimes that's part of just juries being unpredictable. If you have any questions or want to discuss this, feel free to give me a call, shoot me an email. I'd be happy to talk to you.